Right, hi, I'm Chris Grime, representing the IRTE as the chairman of IRTE Services Limited. We're really pleased to be working with TEXA on this, our first webinar to bring technology to our members. The IRTE is one of three professional sectors of the Society of Operations Engineers. The other two sectors are the Institution of Plant Engineers and the Bureau of Engineer Surveyors. We currently have around 15,000 members worldwide and are pleased to see our membership increasing. The IRTE supports transport engineers throughout their careers and encourages high standards with an emphasis on safety and best practice. I'll now hand over to Dave Gordon of TEXA. Enjoy the webinar.
Good afternoon, I'm Dave Gordon, Sales Manager at TEXA UK, part of the global TEXA Corporation. I'm here to introduce the TEXA test drive functionality within the IDC4E software, available for truck, bus, light commercial and trailer. TEXA have continually developed the functionality within their software, including new features within each of their continuous software updates. The purpose of the test drive feature is to record anomalies, intermittent or sporadic error codes, and drivability features present within the parameters displayed in the relevant ECU. TEXA currently have over 50,000 truck customers worldwide who will have access to this feature using the latest hardware and software platforms. TEXA are pleased to be working closely with the IRTE and look forward to providing more webinar sessions in the future. If you have any questions during or after the event for ourselves and IRTE, please feel free to pose them at any point during the session. There will be a recording available for anyone who wishes to have a copy. And thank you very much for participating. New technology introduced by manufacturers to meet changes in legislation has to be understood quickly, along with the systems serviced and maintained within the workshop. The most recent change that we have seen in the European market is the introduction of vehicles with Euro 6 specification emissions systems. Introduced in 2014, these standards again focused on the reduction of two key tailpipe emissions: NOx and particulate matter. The legislation requirements are not new, and since the introduction of Euro 1 in 1993, the limits of these pollutants have been reduced dramatically with each stage, with Euro 6 requiring maximum limits of 0.01 grams kilowatt for particulate matter and 0.4 grams kilowatt for NOx, as in the depicted instance. The technology required to meet these levels is complex, and vehicle and engine manufacturers have been required to invest heavily to ensure compliance. It would also be noted that the latest generation for Euro 6 vehicles must achieve these emission levels whilst delivering increased power output and improved fuel efficiency. So what has been done to achieve this? This has been achieved by using a combination of three existing technologies and two new ones. SCR, selective catalytic reduction, DPF, diesel particulate filter, EGR, exhaust gas recirculation, DOC, diesel oxidation catalyst, and ASC, ammonia slip catalyst. The three systems have been in use for several years, so why will Euro 6 affect vehicle workshops? As emission limits have reduced, these systems now need to work within much tighter tolerances with a higher level of self-monitoring. To achieve this, additional sensors have been added and specific monitoring cycles have been introduced to ensure that the emissions are controlled within prescribed limits across a wider range of operating situations. What does this mean for a technician trying to correct a system fault? Due to the drive cycles required to satisfactorily check the systems, it can now be difficult and time-consuming to replicate a fault or meet the criteria to remove a recorded fault. For intermittent faults that only occur on the road after hours of driving, it is increasingly difficult for technicians to understand if a fault is actually resolved. If it reoccurs, it creates frustration for all parties, along with additional vehicle downtime and costs. An example of NOx monitoring drive cycle would be: drive the vehicle on the road until the exhaust gas temperature before and after the catalyst exceeds 240 degrees C. This is best achieved on a quiet stretch of road with an incline of 5% for 1 kilometre and some load on the vehicle. Drive the vehicle for at least 35 seconds at the following conditions. Engine speed must be between 1400 and 1750 RPM. The exhaust gas temperature before and after the catalyst must be 240 degrees centigrade or more, and the engine fueling must be 60% or more. To assist in the diagnosis of these systems, TEXA have recently introduced a new feature within IDC4E software called Test Drive. This addition to the software functionality allows the technician to select the parameters required from the system and put the TXTS VCI into a recording mode. This allows the vehicle to be driven normally under real-world conditions with all the information being recorded in detail. Although primarily developed to assist with engine management and emissions systems, this can also be used to analyse other vehicle systems, such as transmission, suspension, and body systems. Where this function is supported by the software, the below test drive icon will be present. We're now going to show a test drive video. Problem with the video display. Anyway, let's look at this process. First of all, select the truck software, connect the Navigator TXTS, enter the test drive feature, and after a trip being 2, 3, 4 hours or more, we can then look at recordings. First, we need to select the vehicle category. then the manufacturer, then the model, and then the required system. Select the Parameters tab. There is no group of favourites associated with the current selection. Press the plus button to create one, and you can select up to 32 parameters, creating a list of your own requirement. Once selected, save the group under a name of your choice. Select the test drive icon. The device will now be configured in the test drive mode, sampling the parameters selected in the current group of favourites. This will set the TXTS VCI into a recording mode and record the parameter group selected and any system faults. Configuration is in process, and the system will require a registration number or fleet number to associate the test drive session with. The configuration is transferred and sent to the VCI, and once completed, confirmation will be displayed on the screen and the vehicle can be driven normally. When the vehicle returns to the workshop, as soon as communication is made with the VCI, a prompt appears informing the technician a recording is present. The file is transferred to the Axone 4 display unit. The data is then processed in the IDC4E software. Once completed, the information can be analysed. Each individual trip is shown, and a trip with a red dot indicates a recorded fault. Recorded faults can be viewed along with the help files. And to review the recorded parameters, select 8 from the list available. The data is then displayed in a graph, which can be adjusted with the sliders at the bottom of the screen or played as a continuous video. When a fault occurs, this is highlighted on the recorded parameter data by a yellow triangle. This allows the technician to evaluate the system information leading up to the fault occurring. By using the test drive function, technicians not only save valuable time, but also have much more detailed information to understand how the vehicle is being used and if it has any bearing on the fault recorded. Recording data in this way also provides technicians with a way of finding intermittent faults that only occur under certain operating conditions. Is this function limited to engine and emission systems? No, many other systems are covered by this function and have been proved to be invaluable in identification of intermittent faults. In addition to fault identification, it is also possible to evaluate driving styles and vehicle operating characteristics. Is the test drive feature only available for trucks? No, this feature is available for car, light commercial, bus and coach, agri, construction, motorcycle and marine environments with the later generation VCIs. For more information, please contact us on info.uk@texa.com or view our website at www.texa.co.uk or call us on 01282 606 787. We will now have a short Q&A session. If you would like to take a copy of this presentation, it will be available on your screens to download shortly. Just simply select the file and click download. So we're going to actually go for a poll question. After the question, you will see a yes or no button with which to vote. Just going to give another couple of minutes to run this poll question so everybody's responded, and then we'll put another poll question forward for you. Right, thank you for that. That was very interesting. It seems a lot of you like the idea of moving forward with this type of technology. We're now going to pose another poll question. We're just going to give you a couple of more minutes to answer this because we've got some questions coming in that we're going to give some answers to shortly. Right, thank you for the poll information. That was very interesting. Now we've got some questions coming up.
Yeah, if you have any questions, then there's a question box on the screen that you can actually use. So whilst we're taking some questions now, if you want to ask any further ones, by all means feel free to do so, and we'll take as many as we possibly can. So we'll answer some of the questions that we've had already.
Right, I'll start with the first one. Have a question. How long can you record data for per recording? You can record for 8 hours on 32 lines of data. If you're recording less parameters, then the recording session can actually last longer. What's the sample rate during the recording? Now, the sample rate is 0.25 of a second. It's the lowest we can get down to, but it's very, very finite within the way we can view that graph and the information that comes back on it. John?
A question from the IRTE is, how do I join? How do I join the IRTE? Well, you can actually join online, or you can simply join by filling in an application form. All the application forms are available on the SOE website, which is www.soe.org.uk. You'll find the relative application forms on there, or it's simply a telephone number. Speak to anyone in our membership department, and they can advise you the best way to actually join the IRTE. Second question is, will this count towards my CPD, continuing professional development? The answer is yes, of course it will. CPD means different things to different people, but it certainly is a CPD event as far as we're concerned.
Right, I've got another question coming in. Will switching the ignition off during the recording have an effect on the results? Well, basically, it's designed to allow sort of a delivery van to be able to switch off and on. The recording stops when the ignition's switched off and restarts again once the engine is started. So you get, on an 8-hour trip, you might have 10 recordings within that period.
Another question regarding registration. How do I become professionally registered? Well, you'll need to be a full member of the SOE, IRTE, and you'll then be invited to take up registration at a level suited to your CV, your qualifications, and your work history. But we can help you through that process, and we can guide you through it at every level.
You want to take the next one as well, John?
There is another question here, which is, what are the benefits of joining the SOE? There are many benefits of joining the SOE. One includes your post-nominals. You actually get post-nominals behind your name, which is recognition for everyone. You get professional recognition. You can then register with Engineering Council, which is what I referred to earlier. And you get magazines which are relevant to your profession, totally relevant to your profession. Then we put on regional and national events, this being one of them, which is a CPD event. And you become part of a regional group for networking, for news and lectures. You also have access to discussion forums and the like, and lots more. If you become a member, you become a member of our exclusive club, where you've got access to all sorts of support in your daily life and in your daily jobs.
Right, I've got some more questions coming in. Sorry you missed the video presentation. Yes, it was a little bit slow in uploading, it would appear. Our technology always comes round to defeat us eventually. I'm just going to expand that question. Yes, the application is going to be running in trailers eventually. This is the idea that we look at trailer braking and ECAS systems and be able to take a recording. The main issue with recording on ABS, EBS is that at certain speeds the ECU will actually detach the communication as a safety feature, so it will have some limitations in that area.
Another question regarding Engineering Council seems to be popular today, and Engineering Council registration. What levels of registration are there? There are actually 3 levels. One that's engineering technician, incorporated engineer, and chartered engineer. And depending on your CV, your work experience and your qualifications would determine at which level you're actually accepted by Engineering Council to join. The final question that I've got here is, will there be any more webinars like this? The answer is, I'm certain that there will be.
And hopefully with things that work within them, John.
It's one of the it's our very first webinar. It's our pilot webinar, so it's a first for both of us. It's a first for both organisations, but we're really pleased to put it on, and we certainly want to see this in the future. We can see from people that have actually joined the webinar and have shown interest in it that we're attracting people from across the country, from both organisations, both TEXA and IRTE interest. So yes, the plan is to put a lot more of these webinars on, so we can provide CPD for our members across the country.
Well, I've had a few more questions come in the meantime. First one was, will the recording begin from turning the ignition on or from the engine running? Predominantly, it's an engine running feature that the vital information starts transmitting once the engine is actually running. Which software version is the test drive function available on? It currently started in version Truck 38 and is rolling out through the other platforms as software updates are taken on board. Oh, and another one. Will the test drive function work on older interfaces? No, it will begin working with the TXTS, as this has got the recording functionality within the software. No, there were 2 questions on that one, so hopefully that's answered both of them. Is there a specific recommended PC specification to run the TEXA test drive feature? Ideally, it should have at least 8 GB, a DVD player, 2 USB ports, wireless and Bluetooth connections, and Windows 7 Internet Explorer 9 systems as a minimum. But again, as development moves on, we'll be moving these features into Windows 10 as software development progresses.
Good. Has anyone any more questions for us? Please feel free to ask anything you wish.
Just say we'll have a copy of the video within that PowerPoint as well, so it should work.
Just while we're waiting for any further questions coming in, you'll see a tag on the screen that allows you to download the webinar PowerPoint, and within that PowerPoint, we've been told that the video will actually work. So if you want to see what it looked like, or should have looked like earlier, please do the download. Right, thank you very much for joining in our first webinar today. Don't appear to be any further questions coming in, so we're going to wrap it up. All the information, contact details will be on the PowerPoint if you care to download that, and please get in touch if you do have any more questions.
Yeah, it's been, as I say, a first experience for us, and I think it's been really worthwhile. There's been lots of people joined us today. And I think it's a really worthwhile way of making sure that we get to our members with CPD, and we'll certainly be looking forward to the next one. Watch this space, and we'll see which subjects we cover next. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.